War movies always do big business, especially in the States. People love seeing those epic heroics, soldiers risking their lives, or the opposite, brutal scenes of battle that make you question why wars ever start in the first place. And usually those movies get plenty of attention. But finding war movies that flew completely under the radar, that's harder. I mean, how do you even compete with films like Saving Private Ryan or The Thin Red Line? Those movies are classics for a reason. Still, there are some real gems in here. Early 2000s movies that slipped past everyone, some great foreign war films, at least one amazing documentary, and even stuff from major filmmakers like Brian De Palma and Werner Herzog that just didn't get enough love. If war movies are your thing, you're definitely going to find something interesting here. Enemy at the Gates is set during the Battle of Stalingrad, and on paper, it's a sniper duel between Jude Law as Soviet marksman Vasily Zaitsev and Ed Harris as the Germans sent to take him out. But the movie goes way deeper than that. Jude Law and Joseph Fiennes are technically on the same side, but they're both in love with the same woman. Rachel Weisz plays Tanya, a soldier fighting alongside them. So while the bullets are flying, there's also this quiet rivalry simmering under the surface. Then Ed Harris shows up, and the whole thing becomes a slow-burn showdown that's as much psychological as it is physical. In Russia, the movie was banned from TV for almost 20 years. Not because it got the history wrong, but because of how it showed the war. Red Army officers executing retreating soldiers? That scene pissed off a lot of people. The sex scene between Law and Weisz in a crowded barracks also didn't go over well. And the biggest issue? The film hints that Zaitsev, this massive Soviet war hero, might have just been a piece of propaganda. That didn't sit right. Russian critics saw the whole thing as a Western hit job on a national legend. The love triangle didn't help either. Joseph Fiennes plays a political officer who falls for the same woman, and his arc doesn't end well. After winning an Oscar in 2002 for his war film No Man's Land, director Danis Tanovich got a shot in Hollywood and made Triage. Basically, nobody saw it, which is just sad, honestly, because this film goes way beyond the usual war stories. Colin Farrell plays a war photographer who comes home after covering the Kurdish conflict, but he's clearly messed up, even if he won't admit it. His girlfriend, played by Paz Vega, knows something's wrong, so she reaches out to her grandfather, a psychologist and war veteran, played perfectly by the great Christopher Lee. That's when things start falling apart. What makes Triage special is it's not just about soldiers fighting, it's about how war sticks with you, messes you up mentally, changes your whole personality. Farrell's character keeps trying to shrug everything off, pretend he's fine, but of course he isn't. And this film doesn't hold your hand or pretend everything will be fine. But it does show there's a way to heal, even if you never fully recover. Plus, just seeing Christopher Lee do his thing in a really substantial part is totally worth your time. You remember Boys Don't Cry? Huge indie hit. Kimberly Peirce directed it, but somehow she didn't get to make another film for nearly a decade after. Hollywood's tough for female filmmakers. But anyway, her second film was this underrated war drama called Stop Loss. Ryan Phillip plays Brandon King, a young sergeant who comes home from Iraq as a decorated war hero. He tries getting back into normal life, but then he gets ordered right back to Iraq for another tour, and it completely breaks him. It's a powerful look at what war really does to people, not just physically, but psychologically. Peirce and co-writer Mark Richard do an amazing job showing how America celebrates heroism, but ignores the trauma soldiers carry forever. The cast is fantastic too. You've got Channing Tatum, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Rob Brown, all bringing their A-game. 10 years after the height of the Iraq War, Stop Loss still feels urgent and necessary. It deserved way more praise than it ever got. If you're tired of war films always being about American soldiers, this South Korean movie about the Korean War is exactly what you need to see. It follows two brothers who get drafted and sent straight to the front lines. Older one becomes basically a fearless war hero, taking insane risks trying to earn medals because he thinks that'll get his brother sent home safely. But that creates huge tension between them, way more compelling than the usual war movie action. What makes this one special is how it shows a family ripped apart by war. Not interested in politics or moral arguments about who's right or wrong, just deeply emotional storytelling. You even get to see their everyday life before the war started, and that contrast hits incredibly hard. At 2 hours and 20 minutes, it's epic-scale filmmaking. If you like classic Hollywood war movies but want something fresher and way more personal, this is your film. Did you ever imagine Meg Ryan playing a military captain killed protecting her crew? Me neither. But Edward Zwick saw something no one else did, and Ryan absolutely nails it here. And relax, that's not a spoiler. Her character's death kicks off the whole story. Denzel Washington plays Nat Serling, a military investigator figuring out if she deserves a Medal of Honor. Of course, as he digs into what actually happened on that helicopter during Desert Storm, everything gets messy. Multiple versions of events, lies, cover-ups, the works. Courage Under Fire handles the action sequences perfectly, and Patrick Sheen Duncan's script digs into PTSD and how war scars people way deeper than medals can fix. Honestly, it's a criminally overlooked war film, smart, tense, emotionally complex, and it's definitely time more people rediscovered it. Right after the success of The Untouchables, Brian De Palma could have picked anything he wanted next. Instead, he chose something guaranteed to stir things up. Casualties of War is based on a real incident where a group of American soldiers kidnapped, assaulted, and eventually murdered a Vietnamese girl during the war. You've got Sean Penn at his most explosive, playing the soldier leading the group, and Michael J. Fox playing completely against type, as the soldier who tries to stand up and do the right thing. De Palma shows everything here, doesn't sugarcoat or shy away from just how awful this story really was. It's not just blaming circumstances, it puts responsibility squarely on the people involved. The critics praised it, but it was way too uncomfortable for most audiences at the time. Watching it now, it's clear how brave this film was, totally honest about the cruelty, corruption, and pointless violence of Vietnam. It's hard to watch, but it should be seen. One of those films that's forgotten but shouldn't be. Werner Herzog's films are usually hit or miss lately, but Rescue Dawn from 2006 is definitely a hit. It's a survival story, harsh, tough, intense, exactly what Herzog does best. It's about Dieter Dengler, a German-American pilot whose plane crashes over Laos during a bombing mission in 1965. Dengler gets captured, tortured, and thrown into a prisoners of war camp. There, he teams up with other prisoners, played by actors including a surprisingly incredible Steve Zahn, to plan their escape. Christian Bale plays Dengler, and you know Bale. He completely commits physically and emotionally. But what really makes this movie stand out is how Herzog films the jungle. Once the prisoners escape, they realize the real prison isn't the camp, it's the endless jungle around them. As their minds unravel and conditions worsen, the movie turns into this harsh, intense journey about ordinary men forced into impossible conditions by war. It's tough stuff, but amazing filmmaking. This one's rough. It's a Chinese film, shot in black and white, about the brutal 1937 invasion of Nanjing by Japanese forces during the Second Sino-Japanese War, one of history's worst war crimes, but one we hardly ever talk about. Director Chuan Liu goes all out. Cinematically, it's impressive as hell, but fair warning, it's devastatingly harsh. This isn't the type of movie you watch for fun. It's emotionally exhausting, intentionally relentless. Liu doesn't just go for shock, he chooses artistry over straight raw footage, which somehow makes the horrors even harder to shake off. The film shows multiple perspectives: the Chinese soldiers, local civilians, even a Japanese soldier, a foreign missionary, and John Rabe, the Nazi businessman who actually ended up saving thousands of Chinese civilians. This was clearly a personal film for Liu, and it shows. At 132 minutes, it feels even longer, but that's intentional. He's putting you right there, in the weeks-long nightmare the city endured. It's unforgettable, powerful, important, but seriously hard to watch more than once. This was Samuel Mayoz's very first movie, and what's crazy is that it's basically his own true story. Mayoz was a soldier during the first Lebanon War in the 80s, stuck inside a tank during what was supposed to be a routine mission. And that mission turned into a nightmare, exactly like you see here. Mayoz nails the growing sense of dread and panic, capturing perfectly how the soldiers inside this tank realize, step by step, just how screwed they actually are. The cast is mostly unknown actors, but every single one delivers. Super tense, completely believable. At 93 minutes, Lebanon is basically non-stop. The violence is shocking, realistic, and brutal. The whole atmosphere of dread Mayoz creates is unbelievable, especially considering it was his debut film. When this didn't even get nominated for the Foreign Language Oscar in 2010, that was just ridiculous. It's easily one of the best and most overlooked war movies of the past decade. This one got Oscar nominated as Best Foreign Language Film, and it's one of the most unusual documentaries ever made. Director Riti Pan blends clay figures, old archival footage, and his own personal narration to talk about the Khmer Rouge genocide in Cambodia back in the 70s. It's incredibly personal for Pan, deeply emotional, clearly cathartic. Honestly, it's probably the strongest film ever made about this particular genocide. Better even than famous movies like The Killing Fields or First They Killed My Father, mostly because of how totally original it feels. Visually, the clay figure technique alone makes it unforgettable. And at 92 minutes, it's short enough, but it stays with you way longer. Usually documentaries don't make it into Best Foreign Language Film at the Oscars, but this one deserved it.